Hello, it's Collette from the Sacred Rose Temple. I'm here to give you the energy report for this week on the 20th of the first 25. And it is another super week for transformation and growth. Of course, it is. Every week is. But this week, we've got a special focus as we come up to a very significant event on the 25th when seven planets align. And this gives us an opportunity to think about our own alignment, our own clarity, our own regulation, our own path that we want to walk on and the things that we want to bring into our life. And I spoke about all the ways in which that can be done in the last energy reports about, being clear about what it is you want in life and removing the debris from your life that you don't want. And it sounds really easy, doesn't it? Get rid of what you don't want, bring in what you do want. But we know on a more spiritual plane that that isn't easy because usually we're very caught up in our own bullshit and we're quite unaware of some of the ways in which we behave and the things that are drawn into our life because of that. And that's what I want to focus on this week. There is a huge kind of dawning on relationships in general, because relationships are super significant in the collective. Everything's based on a relationship. How we love and look after the planet is a relationship. How we take care of ourselves is a relationship. The animals on the planet, other human beings. We are one great big network. And what we've seen is the lack, really, of good relationship between all of those aforementioned things. So the focus on relationship is worth really being more zoomed in on in your life. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what makes up relationship in your life at the moment. What does that look like? And that could be a relationship with your family, with your friends, in your love life, your spiritual community, anything really that is really important for relating, your animals, all of it, how you treat the planet, how you treat your environment. It's all really quite necessary. And I've been thinking about this a lot because in relation to my own personal growth and work that I do on myself. And I've just spent a weekend at a Shambhala meditation center called Deshen Sholing. And I have been doing the Shambhala warrior meditation training, and this was part two. And a really big piece came up for me in looking at myself in relation to bringing in predatorial energy. It's quite a bit of a story of mine that I have kind of brought in predators through gurus and men in particularly. Predatorial men really seem to magnetize themselves to me in all situations. I don't mean relating either, although that has been part of my recent journey. And it's all due to me. Like I have to take ownership that there's a part of me that engages in this energy. And I've been doing a lot of self-discovery on the Poella and the inner child and father relating. This all brings this energy in, and we all know the myth called Bluebeard, which is about the male predator. And I dreamt at this center of the predatorial energy that was showing itself to me there. And there was this space of lots of pinpoints in my life where this energy is coming from a place in the self. So I wanted to really take that under a microscope and say, what is it in myself that invites this in? And I've been Jungian that for quite some time, and it's still there. So there's more work needed for me. And that's how this goes. Nothing is ever truly healed. We go through cycles of healing the same thing over and over until it's cleaned out. So I often get this that I've done like a year's worth of work or 2 years worth of work on something, and then it shows its little ugly head again. And I'm like, oh, damn, here it is again. And it's not that we didn't do the work on it, it's that a new layer of it's come up. And I definitely feel that personally for me at the moment. There's a new layer that's come up. And wow, this is tied in not only to my meditation weekend and the work I've been doing under analysis and the work I've been doing with the women who run with the wolves, because I've been teaching that text. It's all kind of correlating in a big pool. And the reason I'm sharing this is because you might be having the similar experience that there's lots of things coming together in one big chunk that you can see are all interconnected and all interlaced. And what they're trying to do is point to a particular place in yourself that needs healing, that needs attention, that needs to be looked at. So I want you to think of this in the following way. In my life at the moment, what are the things that are being disruptive, making me uncomfortable, making me unhappy, making me sad, causing me problems? And then think about all those scenarios and write them down. And then have a little think about what the root of that is. So, what happened for me when I did this is that I began to understand that there was some place in me, in my inner child, and in that initiation that I grew up as a woman that had no idea and was never taught about instincts, intuition, you know, and having that deeper sense as a woman, because I think we all have it as women, yet we tend to push it away. We've been pushing it away. And we second guess ourselves and we listen to others that say, oh, you're being paranoid, oh, you're being sensitive, or whatever that is. And so then we learn to disregard that part of us. And that is something I've been working on for the last 25 plus years on refinding that instinctual, intuitive self. And working also with the anima, the feminine part of me as a woman, and softening into that. And I realized that, I've opened up to much more vulnerability. And inside of that vulnerability, a certain naivety has shown itself. So I think I'm working on that vulnerability, naivety, innocence, the inner child, and how that shows up in my womanhood. So I want you to, collate some words that might be showing up for you around these issues and these core problems that are showing themselves. This is really deep work. And this will mean that as the 25th comes up and the planets come into alignment, you will be more self-aware and in alignment to what you want and what you don't want. So I've got some certain indications about predatorial energy by doing this. I realize that I'm always quite nice to people, inviting in, and then people overstep that line. They kind of come in a little bit too close at times. So I'm setting new boundaries for coming in close. Just like coming into my energy field and learning just to keep a distance, which is difficult because I really seek relation and connection, community connection. So it goes against what I really want, but I'm trying to reestablish new rules with the self, and therefore will kind of establish new ways of relating. So I hope by giving personal and quite vulnerable an example, that you understand what to do with all the things that are coming up for you and how it is this week really focused on you. What is this about me? And we know that's a certain place of growth when we get to a certain level of consciousness, that we stop blaming others, we stop blaming them. That doesn't mean we're not holding people accountable or sharing how we feel about their behavior or what they've done, for example. But it does mean that instead of spending all the energy doing that, we're spending more time on ourselves. And I see this often. I see women coming out of bad relationships or situations, and it's all about him, blah, 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 blah. And while some of that's just and needs voicing and airing and sharing, if that's all that woman does, then she's never going to be self-reflective enough to start doing the inner work that allows her to take ownership for that bigger picture and why that's came into our lives. And this is all about us being self aware, self reflective, and understanding that certain wounds, patterns, thoughts, feelings attract in things that resonate with it so that it can be highlighted so that you can heal it. So that's really, really big this week. And these initiations, as I call them, because we could call them all kinds of things, problems, chaos, but they're initiations into the more spiritual and more self-aware self. Excuse me. So thinking on that, there's a particularly big theme this week as we go into the alignment about women as well and the divine feminine. We're in the year of the snake. It's coming up on the 27th, 29th, that the Chinese New Year starts with the year of the snake. And the snake energy is super important for us this year. I'll be doing a group on the snake energy and the divine feminine power for those of you that are interested to really utilize this energy and use it to your best interest. I'm going to be doing some sacred practices in there and some work on self-awareness around serpent energy. But the snake energy of the feminine is rising. I seen this morning that a new snake had been discovered, a huge snake in the Amazon jungle. And I laughed and thought, of course that would happen this year, that they'd find this huge primordial snake. The mother is rising, the feminine is rising. And the feminine voice wants to rise too. There is a very old energy, misogynist energy, sexist energy. It's caught up in a huge bubble of the old ways of pornography, of men believing women should behave differently to men and that women are, less than and that women should be quiet and that just that old misogynist view, we all know it. And that's got to die. And that can only die when the new voice is louder than the old one. And I seen an example of that this week too, just the women carrying that voice, quietening down in front of a misogynist voice. And misogyny casts in all kinds of aspersion and words and beliefs about how you behave, how you should be, what you should do, what's right, what's wrong. And there's this force field of women that are carrying a new knowledge and they're being quiet. So, in the face of misogyny, stand up. In the face of the old voice and the old way and the old belief, and this goes for old spirituality as well, all this new age stuff that's going to, let's wave a wand, let's get rid of our karmic trauma with one session, let's get rid of our ancestral wounds. It's all bullshit. You can't do that. And that's a misogynist view also. It's a very, very, we'll just get rid of it. It's not listening to the emotion. It's not listening to the pain. It's not honoring it and seeing it as a rite of passage. And we as women are brilliant at it. We're brilliant at emoting. We're brilliant at bringing up the primordial feelings. That's what will heal the world. The divine, emotional, feeling, speaking feminine. So if you're listening to this, take attention to where you are still being the quiet voice, where you hold certain new knowledge, where you hold that feminine principle that you know could change this world. And you are being silenced by more dominant masculine energy. And I don't just mean men. I mean, women can be completely misogynist and patriarchal. So this is about an energy, like a kind of really quite deviant masculine energy, which combines with a deviant feminine energy that holds down the feminine principle, that matriarchal primordial snake energy that is wanting to rise. And if you are aware of your snake energy inside of you as a woman, then use it and utilize it. And if not, learn about it. So this is all going to be pretty, impacting. And that snake energy is lined up with a Medusa energy. So the whole Medusa has been sharing itself in the astrological plane. And the Medusa, I've seen lots of Medusa energies on my field, and she holds primordial snake energy as well. She holds the story of the raped woman, the woman who is held down and whose stare turns to stone because she doesn't do the major, well, she does in the end the inner work to transform herself. So it is about transformation within the self. and using the Medusa myth as an energy to transform those old stories, that old misogyny, patriarchal energy, to stone. Let's turn it to stone and let's start anew. So be watching, watching out for all of this, your perception of yourself and what's calling in certain energies, and then also about this whole, you know, way of being with regards to this kind of oppressive energy that's trying to hold down the feminine voice. So there's lots of stuff going on in astrology. The moon's in Libra, so that means it is about a focus on relationships and collaboration and diplomacy. It's about seeking harmony, and harmony in relationships comes through conflict resolution. Harmony does not come through putting up with ways or behavior or misguided voice, but comes through, consciously opposing it and trying to resolve the conflict that comes up from the opposition. That's a divine feminine way of dealing with something, not shutting up and running away from it or ignoring it. Then the sun is in Capricorn, and that's a very grounding influence, which is trying to get us to do all of what we're doing so that we can maintain our long-term goals and achieve the life that we want to do. The energy here is also about discipline and effort. So applying discipline and effort to what you're doing will make sure that what you want actually comes off the ground. Mm-hmm. As the sun prepares to move into Aquarius, the shift is focusing on innovation, individuality, really knowing yourself. This is going to be a bit of a longer energy forecast, but I want it to be. We were speaking at the weekend at the training on something that I teach in all my work about women knowing who they are, about their individuality. How do they dress? What does it say about them? How do they speak? What does that say about them? How do they represent themselves? How do they express themselves? What do their homes look like? Are they a representation of their personality? This is very important for us as women, that we completely and utterly express ourselves in all ways. When you come to my home, you realize I'm a spiritual woman because there's a lot of altars, there's a lot of crystals, there's a lot of deities and divine, you know, ornaments, and it's very girly and it's me. And I also feel that when I dress, I want to represent not always, I'm obviously some days just in, my my scruffy clothes for gardening and relaxation clothes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the times you get dressed up and you feel, how do I want to represent myself? What do I stand for? What do I like? How do I want to express what lives within me? So this Aquarius season is going to get you to tune in on that. Are you representing yourself? Are you really showing yourself as you are deep down inside? And do you really know who she is? Have you made her aware that she loves? I'm aware I love pink and roses, and that there's a part of me that likes vintage and old. And I really try to express that through my personality. So think about what you love and what you stand for and how you can embrace that. I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of all of this is that we're going to really feel emotionally uh, connected to snake energy. We're going to feel the emotions of the initiations that we've been going through, emotions through relationship, emotions of having to still keep speaking up as the feminine and pushing down misogynistic and patriarchal views. And it's going to be a really important week in getting to that 25th of this month where the planets align, and sitting with yourself on that day of alignment saying, am I aligned? Am I aligned with my personal values? Am I able to express who I'm inside on the outside, verbally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally? That's it. That's what I've got. But yeah, this is, I'm sure you all laugh because every week I say, and it's an intense week. Well, it is. Life's pretty intense. I love the intensity of spirituality. It gives me fire. It gives me creativity. It spurges on my soul. I can't imagine a life that was lackluster. And absolutely empty and devoid of any kind of intensity that urged me to grow as a person. So good luck with the growth. Good luck with all of that. It's hardly a bite size, but even if you take one thing from this energy report, you will see something move. I am wishing you luck for this week, and may the planets align for everything that your heart and womb desires. Bye for now. Lots of love, Collette.